Picture this, a 4,000-mile network of ancient trade routes, buzzing with merchants, monks, and explorers, carrying silk, spices, and secrets across continents. This was the Silk Road, the artery of the ancient world, connecting China to Rome for over 1,500 years. But here's the story you've never been told: the women who made it all possible. From weaving the silk that named the road to brokering peace between empires, these women were the unsung heroes of history. Ready to uncover their epic tale? Let's dive into the untold story of the Silk Road's women. The Silk Road wasn't just a trade route, it was a cultural superhighway, a melting pot of ideas, religions, and goods from 200 BCE to the 1400s. You've heard about the merchants crossing deserts and the scholars spreading knowledge, but what about the women? They were the weavers, traders, diplomats, and storytellers who kept this global network alive. Today, we're uncovering their economic hustle, cultural influence, diplomatic brilliance, artistic legacies, and everyday resilience. This is no ordinary history lesson. Let's embark on a journey to meet the women who shaped the world. Let's kick things off with the economic engine of the Silk Road: silk. And who made it? Women. In ancient China, starting in the Han Dynasty around 200 BC, silk production was almost entirely women's work. They raised silkworms, carefully feeding them mulberry leaves, boiled cocoons to extract delicate threads, and wove fabrics so fine they were worth more than gold. A single bolt of silk could buy a horse or secure a trade deal across empires. This wasn't just craft, it was power, fueling China's economy and giving the Silk Road its name. But China was just the start. In Central Asian nomadic tribes, women were master artisans. They spun wool, crafted felt, and dyed textiles with natural pigments: saffron yellow, indigo blue, that archaeologists still find in sites like Turfan. These goods, from rugs to saddlebags, were traded in bustling oasis towns like Bokhara and Khotan. One fascinating detail: a 7th century contract from Turfan mentions a woman named Lady Mi, who bartered grain and wine for silk with Sogdian traders. She wasn't just trading, she was running a business. Zoom in on the Caravanserais, think roadside inns for traders. Women often managed these hubs, cooking meals, mending clothes, and even offering intel on bandit-prone routes. In Sogdian records, we find women like Aisha, who ran a caravanserai near Samarkand, keeping detailed ledgers of goods traded. These women were the glue holding the Silk Road supply chain together. Archaeological digs in Turfan reveal women-owned property and market stalls, selling everything from jade earrings to saffron. One clay tablet even lists a woman named Zara as a creditor, lending money to merchants. These women weren't just supporting trade, they were shaping it. The Silk Road wasn't just about goods, it was a pipeline for ideas, and women were its messengers. Take religion. Buddhist nuns like Ananda traveled treacherous routes, carrying sacred texts and teaching in monasteries. In Dunhuang's Mogao caves, murals from the 6th century show women commissioning Buddhist art, their names etched into history. These nuns weren't just spiritual, they were scholars, preserving texts that spread Buddhism from India to China. In Sogdian cities like Samarkand, women were cultural connectors. They spoke Persian, Sogdian, even bits of Chinese, acting as translators and hosts for traders. Picture this: a Chinese merchant arrives, clueless about local customs. A Sogdian woman greets him, serves tea, and negotiates a deal for his silk. These women bridged worlds, making trade possible across language barriers. Christian women, especially Nestorians, left their mark too. In a 9th century Kyrgyz graveyard, archaeologists found women buried with Nestorian crosses, suggesting they were missionaries or community leaders. One inscription even mentions a woman named Maria, who donated to a church along the Silk Road, spreading Christianity to Central Asia. Another overlooked role? Storytelling. Women in Silk Road communities passed down oral histories, blending Persian epics, Chinese legends, and Indian fables. These stories, like the tale of the clever trader's daughter who outsmarted a bandit, inspired generations, and kept cultures alive. Now, let's talk high-stakes diplomacy. The Silk Road was a geopolitical chessboard, and women were master players. During the Tang Dynasty, from 618 to 907 CE, Chinese princesses were sent to marry nomadic rulers to secure trade alliances. Take Princess Wencheng, who married a Tibetan king in 641 CE. She didn't just bring a dowry. She brought Chinese artisans, scholars, and silkworm eggs, sparking Tibet's silk industry and cementing peace. In the Mongol Empire, women like Sorghaghtani Beki, mother of Kublai Khan, were political powerhouses. Sorghaghtani negotiated trade routes with Persian and Chinese merchants, ensuring the Silk Road flourished under Mongol rule. She wasn't just a diplomat, she was a strategist who shaped an empire. Women weren't just pawns in marriage alliances. Some were scribes, drafting trade agreements and diplomatic letters. In Turfan, 7th century documents show women like Lady Zhang signing contracts, proving they had legal authority. One record even mentions a woman mediating a dispute between Sogdian and Uyghur traders, keeping the peace on a volatile route. Another tidbit: these diplomatic marriages weren't just political. Princesses brought entourages, cooks, weavers, musicians, who introduced Chinese recipes, silk patterns, and even musical instruments to new lands. These women were walking cultural exchanges, blending East and West. The Silk Road was a canvas for art, and women were its creators. In Chinese workshops, women embroidered silk with mythical dragons and phoenixes, designs that traveled as far as Persia. These textiles weren't just beautiful, they told stories, like the legend of the Weaver Girl, a Chinese folktale woven into silk patterns. In Sogdian cities, women painted frescoes and crafted pottery. A 6th century wall painting from Samarkand shows women in flowing dresses, possibly artists or patrons, celebrating trade festivals. In Khotan, pottery shards inscribed with names like Aisha or Fatima suggest women were potters, their work traded across the route. Women also contributed to religious art. In Dunhuang, inscriptions credit women with funding Buddhist sculptures and caves. One donor, Lady Mi, paid for a massive Buddhist statue in the 8th century, her name carved into the rock. These women weren't just artists, they were patrons, shaping the Silk Road's spiritual legacy. Not every woman was a princess or artist. Most were everyday heroes. In oasis towns like Kashgar, women ran households, cooked for traders, and repaired gear for caravans. They faced brutal conditions, scorching deserts, freezing mountains, and bandits who preyed on travelers. Yet they thrived. A Sogdian trader's journal from the 9th century tells of a woman named Zara who guided a lost caravan to water during a storm, saving dozens of lives. Women's names appear in unexpected places. Pottery from Khotan has inscriptions like "Made by Aisha," and graves in Turfan contain tools like looms and scales, suggesting women were respected artisans and traders. One grave even held a woman buried with a bronze mirror engraved with her name, hinting at her status. But life wasn't easy. Women faced exploitation, especially those traveling alone. Yet stories from Central Asian folklore celebrate their resilience, like the tale of a female trader who outwitted bandits by hiding her goods in a fake camel hump. These women were tough, resourceful, and vital to the Silk Road's survival. The Silk Road was more than a trade route. It was a tapestry of human ambition, and women wove its most vibrant threads. From silk weavers to diplomats, from artists to everyday heroes, they shaped a global network that connected civilizations. So why are their stories untold? Because history, mostly written by men, sidelined them. But their legacy lives in the artifacts, stories, and cultures they left behind. Let's keep telling their stories. If this journey blew your mind, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more hidden histories. Drop a comment. Which Silk Road woman story inspires you most? Want to dive deeper? Check out the links below for books like Stories from the Silk Road or exhibits like Hidden Stories, books along the Silk Roads at the British Library. Share this video to spread their legacy, and let's keep uncovering the past together. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey. The Silk Road's women didn't just live history, they made it. Until next time, keep exploring the stories that shape our world.